starting off with, obviously Jordan had a pretty big night, with that, especially with the kind of toe tap second touchdown. How would you kind of evaluate that versus the high expectations you have for him?
Yeah, man. I was excited, one, for the win, of course. You're never going to feel sorry about the win. But was it our best game? No, it wasn't. For JT, statistically it was great, but, we had a false start, we had a fumble. And those are rookie mistakes, I just try to tell him, man, for him, being one of our go-to players, man, like we're leaning on you at each and every time. And the play that he jumped on, that ball was actually going to go to him. I said, that could have possibly been another touchdown. So he's hard on himself, so I don't really have to get hard. But collectively as a group, I just thought it was a little sloppy, But that's what the first game's really about. We don't get preseason games. You go out thinking that you want to be flawless and everything want to go good, but it just doesn't happen that way. We just got to continue to come back, work. I can't tell you that overall as a group, they were excited about the win, but they weren't excited about their performance. They felt like they still could have done better. And that's encouraging. That's, to be able to understand and self-reflect and look at kind of your part and what did you do to help contribute to the win. I can tell you none of those guys were satisfied. So that's what I like. They came out here with purpose. We put 2 good days of work in, Tuesday and Wednesday. And now looking forward to another challenge, going into a tough environment. Mississippi State, who we beat pretty good last year. They're going to be up for this game. So it's going to be a good test for us to go down there and see what we can do on the road.
You mentioned the false start from Tyson and penalties kind of racked up for you guys on the offensive side of the ball. How do you kind of go from that game and kind of getting out a lot of those sloppy mistakes to minimizing that going forward on a road game?
Just point of emphasis, just detailing it up, doing a lot of blocking drills, making sure we reset and get our hands inside. For JT, he's going to have to get hit. That's been the problem. He missed majority of spring ball. We kept him out a lot just to try to get him to the season, and then he finally gets hit, and then he fumbles the football a little bit. So it's just a matter of just getting back to the basics, getting back to the fundamentals and stuff like that. And really, collectively as a group, as a team, that's what we did. Just went back and worked. And that's the one thing about Kenny. He doesn't overreact with good wins or bad wins or whatever. It's just about putting your head down and continuing to work. And that's what we did last year, and that's what we're going to continue to do this year.
Who do you think's the guy that's going to step up over these next 2?
I hope all guys. I hope all the guys step up. You want everybody to go out there and make plays. As a coach, you just want to make sure you do your part to make sure you prepare them, give them all the tools they need to be successful. And at the end of the day, they got to go out there and make plays. Like I said, last year, we have a veteran group of guys. Melquan, X. This year, really, JT. He's the only guy that got a lot of playing experience, and Malik, has came on pretty strong, but he doesn't have a lot of game time experience. So we're still looking for that second guy to kind of step up and be, one of the go-to guys. And I think we got a bunch of guys on the verge of that. It's just a matter of building consistency, and when they're out there, they're consistently being in the right spot and making plays.
The touchdown that JT caught where he was kind of looking over his back over his shoulder. What was the degree of difficulty you think?
That's pretty tough. We do that every day, though. You watch any of our drills, we go pack and go. We start practice off with that same drill. And that's why I'm a stickler. It's quality over quantity. When you do get your rep, make sure it's a full rep, and being able to take the drill to the field. That's really what he did. We do that every day to where it just comes second nature. It's muscle memory for him. So he's just, he's bought into everything we've been preaching to him, and he's excelling at it. He still can grow. It's really just being about, being a pro to the game now. Is being a leader, being the guy that hold everybody accountable for their actions and stuff. So he's just going to continue to grind. I was just going to continue staying on him on the little things, harping over the details and stuff. So, for JT, we can't afford to have – JT can't have a bad game. He's our playmaker, so I'm very hard on the little things, the false starts, the fumbles, being in getting his right depth on all the routes, But the good players that I know, they want to be coached. They never want to feel like they've made it. So that's one thing, JT knows I'm not about excuses. He's out here working every day, and that's what I respect about him.
Of course, JT got the lion's share of the targets there. How do you see the rest of the room, stay engaged in the game, maybe when the balls aren't flying their way?
Well, you better stay ready so you don't have to get ready. I tell them all the time, find a way. Yes, JT's going to get majority of our catches. I mean, deservingly so. I mean, why wouldn't you try to give him the ball? But other guys have been open. Malik caught a huge bomb, but it got called back, because the effort of our old line was just down there. He thought the ball was gone, so he was just running down, covering the pass. And it's just, we got to clean up some of the details and stuff like that. But our guys aren't discouraged by the attempts that they're getting. I just say, hey man, when it's your attempt, let's get ready to make a play. And all of our guys, they're up for the challenge.
Obviously, Jaron Hamilton was listed as a starter for week 1. Only saw the field a couple of times on Saturday. How close, you mentioned him being a guy that used to being close to get like a number 2 guy. How close do you think he is to kind of getting a lot of
Jaron's close. He's close, but you got to know your playbook. If you don't know all the plays, you're a liability. I can't put you out there and you're not sure what you got. So I got to do a better job, which, just finding ways to help him have a better understanding. And I told him, man, it's just like your favorite song, right? If you know all the lyrics to it, how do you know all the lyrics to your favorite song? Because you listen to it every day. Well, you got to treat the same way in your playbook. You got to listen to that playbook every day. It eventually will click. You just can't look at the plays and then come out here and go and practice. You got to do it when you're doing your homework, when you're sitting at home. You got to do it, all the time. And eventually, you'll get used to it, and then now you'll do less thinking and more reacting. And he'll get some opportunities. He's an explosive player. I got to do a better job getting him in the game. But we had a lot of checks going into those games, so we were checking in and out of plays, and I wasn't sure if he kind of knew all the checks, so I didn't want to put him out there in a bad situation just yet.
Malik was a guy that flashed last Saturday, despite the penalties that were actually big plays. Just what have you noticed about him that's different this year? How do you think last year him sitting kind of helped him?
Yeah, I think it helped him have a better understanding of our playbook. 2, this is his last year, so the sense of urgency of the way his mindset and approach to practice each and every day has changed. One thing about Malik from last year, Malik is a worker, man. He comes here each and every day with purpose of getting better. And you're starting to see the trust that Sam is starting to gain in him. He's going to have some opportunity to make some plays. Just that one play got called back, and he was open on some other plays. So we had a lot of guys open on some plays. So it's just a matter of, hey, just keeping them mentally focused, getting dialed in. So when his number is called, he'll rise to the occasion and continue doing what he's been doing, making plays.
What jumps out to you about the Mississippi State defense?
Just they got some new guys that are bigger, faster. So, their second year in that scheme, having a better understanding of it. So, and also, playing at home. When you play at home, there's just a comfort level of playing, in your own backyard with your own families and stuff like that. So it's going to be a tough challenge for us. I'm looking forward to seeing kind of how we match good on good. Because they went into the portal and got some kids out of there that are huge, that can run. Now it's just a matter of meshing and gelling together, and that's what they're trying to do, just like we're trying to do the same. So it should be a good matchup. I'm looking forward to the challenge, and hopefully we can go down there and still win.
Is it hard to kind of balance looking at last year's tape when you're looking at a team who's added nearly 40 guys across their offensive defense from one year to next year?
Yeah, every year is a different year. It's a total different makeup of the team. You look at our team losing Leaf and Scottaboo, the leadership alone, just what they bring to the table, that's lost. Who picks up the flag? You know what I'm saying? And Sam, as good as he is, he only really have 12, 13 games under his belt. That's not a lot for a guy. But he's a natural leader because he's a quarterback. But we got to find other guys to be the Cam and the Leaf and all those guys that can grab the bulls by the horn and when stuff doesn't go well, that they can rally the troops together and find a way to push through it. So we're still searching for that. And maybe I think it's kind of our leader is by committee. It's a bunch of guys right now. And which is a good thing because they're holding each other accountable, and we're starting to create our own identity. So I really try not to compare last year's team to this year's team because it's a different makeup. Every year you're going to get a new identity year in and year out.
How have you seen the growth of Kenny from when you first met him to now?
Kenny's awesome, man. He's just the way he responds to players, the way he demands a lot from the coaches. He's never wanted coach to be content. You know, he's always wanted a coach to push and elevate his guys, and that's what you respect about him as a head coach. That's what I like about him. And, you know, each and every day, man, I got to come in and bring my lunch pail and my work hat and come to work and give these wideouts everything that I got. Give this entire team everything that I got. So Kenny's going to continue to push the button with coaches and players, and I think kind of everybody's kind of bought into it. You know, so you know, he's every year more experienced, wiser, kind of has a great idea of who his team is and how to push his guys. So nothing but mad respect for Kenny.
Your wide receiver Xavier Guillory last year,
Yeah.
he broke his clavicle
Yeah.
a week ago.
Yeah.
How do you think he's dealing with this from a mental standpoint?
I talked to him. You know, it's difficult because I think he was having a pretty good camp. I mean, just from the people that I know that works with the Ravens crew, raved about him. Raved about his work ethic, the way he practiced. But you know, you go down the last preseason game, it can be demoralizing. You know, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel when you have an injury. You know, I think he's kind of leaned on JT a lot. I know those two have spoken about that injury and how long it takes. Luckily for him, he doesn't have to have surgery, so the recovery won't take as long. And from what I'm hearing, you know, he might have an opportunity to get back, and they sign him on the practice squad, considering, you know, how the season goes for the Ravens and stuff. But, you know, he's here right now. He's back in Tempe. He's getting rehab here. He's working out. So I'm praying each and every day he's got a fast recovery so he can go out there and land with a team and get developed and continue his football career.
Steelers take care of the Jets this weekend?
Yeah. I'm really anxious to see how the Aaron Rodgers connection is going to be. But, you know, I bleed black and gold, so I'm always going to be behind my Steelers and stuff. So it should be a great season. You know, they got a lot of new pieces, new faces there, so I'll be interested to see how it all meshes well this season. Cool?
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.